Let's auto check. Ooh. All right. Fantastic. And I'm unmuted, and we can. Welcome everyone to the PYRESWAP show, and I'm assuming my audio is just top shelf right here. Okay, good news. I did finish the Twitter ambassador system, but I haven't sent it to you guys yet because this morning I chose to do that which I'm best at, and I read both of these books. Both of them I probably got done in like less than 90 minutes. They only had like 100 pages each. But I'll tell you this. I think that like what makes a book a good book, what makes like a good book is like whether or not it has a small eureka moment, whether or not that book can kind of contain a little aha epiphany for yourself to like figure out what you're doing wrong. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys get what I'm saying? And I wanted to say some stuff that like I've definitely like just today I can now look back at instructions I was writing a year ago and realize, wow, even though maybe like the whole point of this project was how good I am at monetary economics, that does not translate into a skill at writing instructions for DeFi. Does that make sense? And legitimately, things like font size and things like font selection, right, for legibility. Then we have things like bold and italics, and I realized that italics is considered to be a legibility decrease. So we're going to have something called a style guide eventually inside the Senior Circus, and we'll probably have little style guides for whatever we're building. And I'll try to stop using italics. So I want you guys to know, at least as far as permanent writing goes, I might still do this in general chat, but I'm not going to use italics on Twitter, because by the way, Twitter you can use italics if you have the subscription, which I do, and I'm not going to use italics in any sort of not in documentation, not on like web copy, not in other web copy. Does that make sense? Like we will not use italics. Like it is generally just not good to do. Jeff, bold, and colored bold. That's literally it. So bold is the only thing they do. But they also say don't use underline unless it's a hyperlink. So there is no underlining unless it's a hyperlink. So hyperlinks for underlining. Otherwise, the only emphasis we can use is bold. And if we want extra emphasis, we can do colored bold. And no, you cannot use color without bold. Does that make sense? I just want to say that the instructions that I've gotten on instructions are let's just say that they're really something specific. They're really something special. I'm trying to think of other things I could write about. Oh, and now here it says, in this book, believe it or not, it says the viewpoint of work instructions should always be in third person. But this book here says that you can make it more friendly by talking that in second person. So apparently that's not really clear one way or another. But I guess it has to do more with, are you being explicit in the instructions? Like, are they like, do this, do this, do this? Or, they mean like text aside to it. Now here it has a system for attention grabbers. So actually I can write this up because I thought it was kind of cool. And generally what this means is you guys have heard of like things like info, like where it's like an I, and this is like info. Right, and then legitimately, like we have them on the site, and then also you have info, then you have caution, which looks like this, which is an exclamation point and a triangle, and this is caution. Then you have a square with two exclamation points, and this is called warning. And then the last one, which is apparently an octagon. Well, whatever. That's called an octagon. This is supposed to have like a little hand with it or whatever. Anyways, this is what they call danger. And I didn't realize that this is something that you can kind of like apply objectively to labels, so people can kind of understand the scalability of what you're trying to tell them. Does that make sense? Because sometimes just saying information is like whether or not the usurping guard is on, right? But then we use the danger label for things like the incarnation of witchfall. By the way, guys, I was using danger. Like when you do danger, you're always supposed to mention. Yeah. You're actually supposed to mention like the risk. You're actually supposed to mention the risk. Otherwise, it's kind of unclear. And this is an example of a style guide, right? So legitimately, line spacing, italic usage or not italic usage, underline only for hyperlinks, all text be left aligned, third person perspective. Anyways, they're just very clear about the right way and wrong way to do it. And then also, they talk about being one action per step, and of course being concise. So here they talk about not enough words, here they talk about too many words, and then the right amount of words. That's basically mostly for this, but also talk about proofreading and revision. But then this book here, and of course I fold the corners here. It tells you what to write and then what not to write, and it literally says that you should never have a step that goes over 17 words. Legitimately, it puts in that label as well. And then it has like guidelines for abbreviations. Then it has guidelines for using short sentences. Then it has guidelines for like not using negative language. Guess what? Here it has a guideline for introducing new language. So I'm sure you guys have seen in my instructions before,
where we immediately like onslaught people with like a 4-syllable word. Here it says, tell your readers that you're going to introduce them to a new word first or concept. Then you show them how to pronounce the word before you even define it. Then you define it. Then you relate the jargon to something they're already familiar with. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Introduce the word, pronounce the word, define the word, relate it to something that they already understand. Which, by the way, that's amazing. That's an amazing eureka moment from a very, very short book. But now that I have this kind of like here instrumentally, I would say that this is definitely superior. This one over here tells you to talk to them in second person. But I want you guys to know something. From the video I showed you, and you know, I'll stop talking about these books because they're not exciting unless you have the books right in front of you. But from the stuff that I was posting yesterday, and it's still in chat. So if I posted a YouTube link within 24 hours ago, I encourage you all to look at it, because within a minute, it says that, it says geeking out is the worst thing you can do in marketing. So legitimately, I want you guys to know that like all of my public appearances, like prior to now, were almost like possibly the most ineffective marketing you can do. And what I mean by that is if you start talking to people about your product and or service or your solution, and they use this word called technobabble. If you use technobabble, which means that you're using language that they're not familiar with, this is like the most ineffective marketing possible. And I want you guys to know that before I had this kind of like revelation, this epiphany of literacy, I didn't really know where the line for technobabble was drawn. Like in my head, it's all in the same place. But now I realize you have to use low syllable words. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, believe it or not. By the way, Jeff, I actually learned other reasons why extremely slow, like spoon-fed tutorials, it can be a motivator for them to like continue looking for the information they actually want. Does that make sense to you guys? So legitimately, we are going to do that video on learnPYRESWAP.com. We are going to create this ramp of like spoon-fed information, because not only do you meet people where they're at, you can kind of also like provide context for like what the next step is. So if you're telling them, hey, here's how to install MetaMask or a browser wallet and or get it funded from a centralized exchange or a crypto ATM or even a gift card method. By the way, we're going to do all 3 of those methods in the video. If you provide that information, even to people who already know about how to do it, it still gives them context for like what's the next step in the process. Like, okay, I already have MetaMask. It'll help them motivate to like jump past it to the next step. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Yeah. So legitimately doing these kind of like, I guess, beginner level tutorials, there's a reason you do it for the sake of marketing. And it's not exactly like, oh, we need to fill our project full of people who have no idea what they're doing. It's rather more like the beginner tutorials help people who are more advanced get an idea of like where they are in the level of knowledge. Does that make sense to you guys? Like if you see all the tutorials and you're like, oh, I already know how to do that, it feels like you already give them a sense of completion for completing the rest of the tutorials, right? So if you have like, let's say you have 4 videos in your tutorials and one of them is just setting up MetaMask, and if somebody shows up, they already feel like, oh shit, I'm already partially done. It motivates them to complete it more. Does that make sense? If they already have MetaMask when they show up? Do you guys get it? You're like, oh sweet, I don't need to watch that video because it tells me in the beginning, if you already have MetaMask set up, you can skip to video 4. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because that's a bit of a dopamine. That's a bit of a dopamine. Yep, exactly. And by the way, Trigger, I literally am going to put all the ambassador system material into the ambassador admin chat right after this show. So like that's going to be now up for scrutiny and discussion, if that makes sense. And of course, more on that tomorrow as well. More on that later, etc., etc. I wanted to get it done yesterday, but then I wanted to actually filter what I was writing against these books. And you know what? I still feel like I didn't do enough, but the ambassador system is more like, it's not a set of instructions that like thousands of people do. It's a set of instructions that like, 5 people kind of have their own ability, their own agency and how they navigate. You get what I'm saying? So it's not the same thing, but anyways, more on that soon, real soon. But I'm really thankful that these books exist because I did not realize, because I want you guys to know something. I don't have a problem reading Allegard. Does that make sense? I don't. Okay? And I didn't realize that other people do. And I couldn't know that until I got feedback in the first place. So I want you guys to know something. We're going to keep Allegard as the font for like headers. Like the PYRESWAP logo is still going to be Allegard, right? But we're looking at other pixelated sans serif fonts. I think one of them is called Mercutio. Oh, I should do the post today. Hang on. Anyways, I'm going to make an announcement maybe like early next week, and it'll have like 3 pixelated fonts, and I'm going to get feedback on like which one people find the most legible. And what we're going to do is, okay, on how to tell when to sell, we do not use like any aesthetic from PYRESWAP. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because we don't even want to make it look like an ad, right? Like legitimately the only thing they see at the end is like the logo for a second. It like moves over to the left, and like, do you guys get what I'm saying? It's all about like maximum legibility for that site. But when we go to learnpyreswap.com, we're going to begin introducing the aesthetic on that site. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, so it'll be probably somewhere between like the way the site looks compared to something more legible. So there's pixelated fonts we're going to use for the body. I think the front runner now is called Mercutio or something. But I'm going to actually get feedback and ask people which one they think is the most legible, because I'll let the community pick what we will use as pixelated body text going forward. Does that make sense? Because we do want it to be pixelated to kind of meet the whole retro pixel theme, but we can also make it look just more legible and user-friendly. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I feel like I have a lot of stuff to drop in this video, but you know what? Before I do anything else, we're going to make the posts. We're going to make the 3 posts, guys. And by the way, did you guys see? Yeah, exactly, Jeff. Yeah, we're going to give them pixelated foreplay, right? We're going to whisper sweet pixelated nothings in their ear. Exactly. Yep. All right, anyways, so we have these thank you, Nello. We have posts. We have posts because, again, here's what we've definitely noticed, you guys. Here's what we've definitely noticed. Making 3 posts a day, one of each link, it makes it seem that Twitter does not suppress it as much. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna just start posting this 3 times a day. But granted, we're gonna put some ad spend behind these links soon. But in the meanwhile, I'm just gonna keep posting this 3 times a day, which I will do on the live stream, so that people can see how I'm doing it, and that way everybody kind of gets the idea. So here is a profile where this guy's posting about Crashes Brett. He's posting about Brett. Let's see. Richest 15-year-old. Okay. This is a 15-year-old claiming they will be worth 200 million. This is what a fucking industry. You know, I'm not gonna reply to anybody who was doxing themselves as a teenager, so I'll just keep moving. Yep. Let me see if I can actually get. Okay, so this is a post about USDC and ETH. I don't want to talk like. I would rather focus on a single. Okay, I could repost to Michael Saylor. Let's see. Oh, this is a parody account. Well, I got 10,000 followers. You know what? Let's skip him. We got right back down to this. Okay. Let's see. You know what? Nicoletta on Soul. And if we look at the comments, and this is like Slack. WCO. Sui. Okay. Let's see. If we search for Sui. And we see anybody who's Soul versus Sui. This is Mags. What do they have? They got 97,000 followers. Yeah, okay, perfect. This is the perfect one. So when do we sell? And by the way, I'm including the link the first time this time. And it's let's do how to tell when to sell.com. Is it popping up? Thank you. Thank you. All right. Great. Okay, we can stop looking at Sui. Let's see. What's another one that people look at? Let's see. Benjamin Cohen. Oh, Abe. Yeah, Alessio, I agree. Be like literally, like if you post 100 times in 5 minutes, it kind of makes sense that Twitter would throttle you. So we're just brilliant in the way that we avoid all that. Let's see about ETH. Do we see ETH anywhere? Let's just look at ETH. Okay. Here you go. Talking about ETH. Okay, 5 hours ago. Yep. So when do we sell? And then I'll just make the AVAX one here. Yeah, you know, I think I agree with that as well. And then let's see what's something else to XRP. Let's look up XRP. There you go. Holder signals. Okay, let me see. Well, they got 50,000 followers, but they don't seem to have that much virality here. Let's find something else. Okay. This is the one. This is the guy. Okay. So when do we sell? And then I'll post the Phantom one. Phenomenal. All right. Fantastic. Okay. And that box is checked. Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that like posting on ones that are more common, like Ethereum, Solana, XRP, they are the ones that have like large groups of people that are amateur. Does that make sense? Like they probably might have already lost money, but they're going to have more eyeballs, right? Because they have a higher market cap token, right? Then also they're going to have less quality information. So do you guys get what I'm saying? No, well, Dr. Mac, I post one of each, but I would imagine that this community is probably posting Phantom disproportionately because for the same reason that, yeah. So Dr. Mac, I would say that more people are motivated to post the Pyre Phantom one. Yeah, but that's not me doing it. I post them yeah. If we look at the video, right, if you go look at YouTube, you can actually see it, by the way. Here, we'll just go to YouTube, youtube.com. Let's look up Senyard Circus. Let's see if this works. Nope. Okay. Let's try Seigniorage Circus. Okay, so we go to the channel here. Oh, we have, by the way, 107 subscribers. Do you guys know that when we first started this website, we only had 99? So I just want to say, hey, 8 subscribers in a week. That's probably the biggest surge we've ever had. Yeah, to the doubters. Yeah, by the way, Alessio, we're getting YouTube subs galore. Yeah, all right. Technically, we're also live, right? So anyways, you can see right here, like where, like, I don't even know if these view counts are correct, but you can see that legitimately XYZ gets the most views. So like if XYZ gets the most views, Doc, you can assume that that's the proportion in how much they're getting posted. Kind of, but not exactly. Does that make sense? Like it's not necessarily like it's not necessarily an indication, but I'll tell you this, Dr. Mac, if you look at the numbers of this project, it's always like 60% of it, 60 to 70 is always Phantom right now. And arguably, Phantom is like the biggest and most glorious proof of concept for us, and it's also the biggest nostalgia we have, right? And it's the best chain probably for like as far as like a community that can understand weird DeFi. Yeah, it was Lesio, yeah. Yeah. Hey, good news. Again, even though Twitter is clearly throttling this, we still have clear indication, by the way. We still have, who's this? A bot? Thanks, Nicole. Okay. Well, we still have clear indication that, we don't even look at this anymore. Yeah, you can just zoom back in on me, I guess. Yeah, we still have clear indication that the funnel page does work. Now, you guys, Trigger Happy was talking to me yesterday, and he's like, hey, right after the YouTube marathon, you got to start doing Twitter spaces again. I'm like, you know what? You're completely correct. But before I go in the YouTube marathon or the Twitter spaces, I'm going to have these like bundled and rehearsed punch paragraphs, like power paragraphs, meaning they are these rehearsed things I know to say that do not sound like technobabble and legitimately speak to the exact customer avatar we're targeting. Does that make sense? I know I'm like technobabbling about not technobabbling, but yeah, like I'm going to have these rehearsed things. So every time I'm on a Twitter space or a YouTube interview, I can say the most effective thing. That's literally it. Because I think that a lot of the time, by the way, there's a format to the video I linked here in Discord yesterday, and it's called an epiphany bridge. Does that make sense? So I want to know that most of you guys who are like tuning into this show regularly, you guys have all had the PYRESWAP epiphany. Does that make sense? Like you've either had the PYRESWAP epiphany or you just see that there's no reason somebody like me would do this if I didn't have the epiphany. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So you're either like directly the person with the epiphany or you're just betting on a few people you know that have had the epiphany. Does that make sense? Legitimately, this is good to know because I am all about, when I talk about like we need 300 or more, I mean like 300 people that have had the epiphany, right? And what I realize is that sometimes to make people have the epiphany, you have to bring people in who are incapable of having the epiphany. But on top of that also, that's a shitty attitude to have on my part. It's a bad attitude to have on my part. And reality is, there is no reason we can't just create like the most likely sequence of tutorial videos that help people get to the epiphany. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Maybe it doesn't. Yeah. So like things I was thinking about like ways to write fundamental analysis about like let's say Pyre Phantom, right? And you literally say like when Pyre Phantom, right? Like in a bullet phrase, like when Pyre Phantom is less than 1.01 TWAP, it is bought more. It is bought more, burned more, and minted less. Not even really minted less. I guess that's like a different thing. But bought more and burned more, right? When Pyre Phantom is less than 2 ohm, it's minted less, right? And then on top of that, so when Pyre Phantom is lower than this and lower than this, it is minted less, bought more, and burned more. Make sense? So like you can have these 3. Really, there's always just 4 scenarios you're looking for, right? Like we don't really control how much it gets sold, but we control how much it gets bought and then how much it gets minted and or burned, right? Do you guys get what I'm saying? So like, basically what I learned from these books, by the way, here, I'm going to show you this because this is kind of like, it gave me a bunch of, it gave me instructions on how to write diagrams. So actually I should probably write that out. Let me go back to this book just once. And it talked about like the right way to do things for, first of all, it loved flowcharts, by the way. It definitely believed that flowcharts were a good idea. But right here it said you want to do a 4-box or a quadrant chart. Let me actually get in front of the camera. Did not focus at all. But you guys get the idea, right? So right here it says faucet leaks, and here it says faucet does not leak. And it says hardware is new, and this says hardware is old. Or we're gonna get Pyre Producers to show up with an actual thing. And there. So legitimately, you basically create a situation and a category. And I realized that if I create, I'll now return. So thank you for jumping into action for that. For me to do it for like 8 seconds. Basically speaking, you can create these like 2x2 matrices, and it should be understandable. And the thing is, when I create a matrix, I have no problem just throwing out like a 5x5. You guys have seen me throw 5x5s out, 7x7s, and 8x8s. But apparently, 2x2 is a good one because that's like the prisoner's dilemma. And generally speaking, if you think about it like this, it's like you know, you have mint. You have mint, or really, I guess you could say it's like supply up and supply down, right? So like mint and burn, right? And let me just do a matrix like this. I guess this is mint rate, burn rate, buy rate, sell rate. That's actually the way you do it. We got mint rate. Man, this is actually mind-blowing. I can't believe we never did this before. But actually, I can. I can. Does this make sense to you guys? And really, when we say mint rate, burn rate, we mean like mint rate dominating, burn rate dominating, buy rate dominating, sell rate dominating. Does that make sense? Like that's actually the... Okay, this will need a bit of a conceptual preface, but you guys at least understand that this becomes these scenarios where you have mint rate dominating with buy rate dominating. So if mint rate is dominating and buy rate is dominating, the chart could go up or down. Does that make sense? Like it's going to be like whichever one ends up being the dominator is going to determine the price probabilistic movement, right? If the burn rate is dominating and the buy rate is dominating, then you're probably going to have an upward trend. Does that make sense? If you have the sell rate dominating while mint rate's dominating, price will go down, right? And if you have the burn rate dominating while the sell rate's dominating, it could go either way. Does that make sense? So these are like the coin toss moments, which arguably you want to look at like one or the other. But again, this is about helping people see that fundamental analysis is part of PYRESWAP. And arguably, I can't believe I'm writing this on the board for the first time on like December, whatever day it is, 12, 2024. That's crazy. That's crazy. I did not know how to write instructions. I did not know how to speak or communicate about what was in my head. And I really, it is really mind-blowing to me how much this particular skill matters. And I guess it just really took like, you know, a year to really arrive at this. But anyways, I want you guys to know me arriving at this is a great sign. Yeah, because like now, legitimately, I learned that technobabble is the #1, like not #1. Technobabble is in the top 3 worst things you can do for marketing. Does that make sense? And nobody ever told me like that before. Like other people were like, hey, you need to simplify this. And hey, you need to make tutorial videos. Those tips never came from somebody who said it with that much conviction. So like also didn't believe that they had actually done that much or known that much about marketing. But like now, that video that I linked, that guy is named Russell Brunson, and he's 9 figures on marketing, right? He's worth 9 figures on marketing. So when he says technobabble is in the top 3 worst things you can do as a marketer, like it's like just getting punched in the fucking stomach. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So it's like, like this is like a glaring problem that it did get brought up, but it did not get communicated to me in the right way, right? Do you guys get what I'm saying? So like even the way that I'm told about my problems has to be packaged a certain way to get through to me. Well, Jeff, you know, there's always next year. There's always next year. Right? By the way, if you are trying to publish a book, I recommend draft2digital.com. You can get an online book published in like, I don't know, a few hours. Yeah, I actually, for those of you who know that I wrote a 60-page book and it's published on Draft2Digital, and I sell between like, I don't know, 2 to 20 copies a month. It's a little bit of money. Yeah, it's like less than $100 a month, like between like $10 and $50 mostly. I think $48 in a month was like my peak. Anyways, I wrote that like, I wrote that in March of 2023. Yeah, that was like one of the things that when PYRESWAP and even the PPSD was getting built, I was still juggling multiple things. And as PYRESWAP didn't move with the pace, I had to like abandon other projects to just keep moving on PYRESWAP, which is all worth it now. But yeah, the book was thankfully something that I was able to do in like 2 weeks because it was only 15 pages. Or sorry, 59 pages. Anyways, yeah. Do you guys get at least the 4 scenarios, right? When you have burn rate dominating with buy rate dominating, probabilistically you're going up. And the thing is, if that idea isn't communicated to enough people as they enter into PYRESWAP, they're not going to understand the whole idea about, hey, this is fundamental analysis, right? You guys get what I'm saying? And I know that a lot of you guys are like, but we're not burning fast enough. And it's like, well, we also don't have that much of a buy rate, which is, again, like, as they're both working on each other, they're both exponents. Does that make sense? They're like, if this is a positive and that's a positive, then this is a squared, right? Okay, you guys get it, all right? Anyways, yeah. I do want to write that on the board one more time, okay? Is that all right? Can I ask your permission to write that matrix on the board one more time with probably like the full labeling and talk about it one more time? Because I would love your feedback on anything that I can simplify. Because obviously we still do need to do education. Yeah. Okay, let's give this a shot. And I will use, anybody have a color request? Green, it's probably a good one. Green means good, right? Mint rate dominating. We'll just write domin. Okay. Burn rate dominant. Buy rate, yep. Buy rate dominant. Sell. And you know what's funny? You guys know Olympus Dow had a little matrix as well. You guys know what I mean? Like Olympus Dow, their big thing was the little 3-3, right? You guys remember that shit? And you know, I didn't even realize that like that conceptual fucking matrix was like part of their marketing material, even though it was bad game theory, right? It was like people would advertise their position to kind of like, anyways, okay. Sell rate dominating, right? So let's go like this, and then we'll do like this, and then we'll do like this, and then we'll do like this. Okay, and then we'll just like this too. And I guess we'll just fucking round it off here, right? Cynical, and you know, I might just start calling you WISO. WISO says, cognitive neuroscience states that for someone to pay focused attention on something, there needs to be a clear reward. Yep. Yeah, yes. By the way, guys, I learned this as well. Yeah. Why so cynical? Yes, there is a way. There is a way, 100%. Because believe it or not, why so cynical? There is actually a format, and it's called hook story offer. So legitimately, one, you always start with a hook, which is like any type of attention getting. Then you start telling them a story, right? And like as long as the story's not boring and they can like relate to the character, which by the way, for the majority of the stories that will be involved in PYRESWAP in learnPYRESWAP.com, one, they're going to be shorter stories, but also when you tell a story about why it's valuable and then what it did for you, it then keeps them hooked, so to say, that they can now understand the value in learning what I learned. Do you get what I'm saying? So what's interesting about this is that I'm going through my own epiphany journey about the way to market, which arguably is part of the story of this project. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like me learning about marketing is part of the journey of Web3 learning about PYRESWAP. You guys know what I mean? Right? It's like the same chapter. And yes, I'm also bullish on neurotransmitters. And the answer is yes. Yeah, because in marketing copy, why so? Whether that's text copy or video copy, you motivate people through it by being bold, or should I say, really maximizing the value of the information in it, right? So the goal is not necessarily to convince them of like how amazing Pyre Phantom is in these videos. The goal is to get them to click on the next video. Does that make sense? So like you can, what do I mean to say? I want you to know that I've read like 9 books on this now in the last 90 days. So there is a way to do it, and I already have like a bunch of notes on this. But I want to say this as well. What I've learned, by the way, when you're learning the neocortex, which is the cognitive part of the brain, it has nothing to do with decisions. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like your decision making comes in your basal ganglia, like he's saying, which is the croc part of your brain, like the more lower part of your brain, the more kind of like impulsive part of your brain. So the fact of the matter is in our language, whether that was our documentation or me doing interviews or Twitter spaces, when I was literally fire hosing out fucking technobabble, I was literally keeping people indecisive. Like I was literally like, I don't even know how to describe it. I was like deliberately making it hard for them to make a decision. I didn't realize I was doing this. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like I was in fact keeping people in their neocortex, whereas the goal of marketing is to get people into their basal ganglia, into their croc brain. Make sense? Why so? Yeah, so legitimately, yeah, this is in fact a neurochemistry thing. And yeah, like legitimately, like this is why I have to rehearse what to say. Because if I just let like, you guys understand that like before I had like a fucking intro paragraph and then I was just like being myself. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it goes hand in hand. But like being myself, I don't fucking memorize shit. I just like think about what the question is and then just answer it like a fucking nuclear bomb. Do you guys know what I mean? Like I'm gonna answer the shit out of your question, but that is not always the way to market. When you answer a question in marketing, you want to build curiosity with your answer, and I was literally nuking curiosity. Do you guys get it? I was saying, hey, any question you have, I'm going to literally answer it, and then I'm going to answer the question you have in a month from now as well. And this is just not what you do on the first date, right? The first date. Anyways, I really like this because this has never been written down or made into a matrix before. And I think the reason I didn't make this a matrix is because I'm like, oh, everybody understands this. And I didn't realize that a 2x2 matrix might be what PYRESWAP needs for its conceptual marketing. Basically, what you would do before this is you would introduce 2 things. You would say Pyre Phantom is an elastic supply token. There's several things that affect its supply increasing or decreasing. Just like, there's also things that affect its demand increasing or decreasing, right? Then you explain what those things are. Literally, I'm just going to go directly with what the books tell me to write in this content. Then I will turn it into video copy. This is for learnPYRESWAP.com. But then this way, you guys get it. You guys get it. Anyways, when the mint rate is dominating over the burn rate, right? Does that make sense? So your mint rate is like your supply rate. So your supply is going up. Here, I'll write it in I'll write it in a different color, right? So supply increases. Supply is going up, buy rate's dominating, and then we can go demand is increasing. When the burn rate is dominating, supply is decreasing, and demand is increasing. I should probably teach them about supply and demand for this too, right? But the feedback I would really like from you guys is, do you guys know what the epiphany moment was for you in this project? Like, do you guys remember, like, when I finally learned that word or that explanation or that episode of the PYRESWAP show, that's when, like, the complete picture made sense in my head. So if you guys know what your, like, PYRESWAP epiphany moment was, TU, okay. Well, TU, I think TU comes from the Tomb Fork investor perspective, though. Although that is useful, I just don't think that can be added to learn PYRESWAP. Yeah. Although terminal utility can be added, but it's, again, I don't really want to have more than 7 videos on learnpyreswap.com. Does that make sense? Like 7 videos should be like the most you ask. And by the way, you can, in this guide, by the way, they give you instructions on how to, like, allude to advanced instructions. So they're like, hey, if you want to learn more about this, go do X. Does that make sense? So, like, we can have advanced instructions later, but legitimately, it's the basic instructions that need to be dialed in. Why so cynical? Like, there's no reason to believe anything. Okay, you can talk about community, but legitimately, like, there's no reason to, like, not dangle monetary motivation. Yeah. Newcomers aren't going to hold these tokens. Yeah, that's an inductive inference. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, why you think that. Like, legitimately, yeah, like, we start off with newcomers thinking about this token has fundamental analysis, right? So we legitimately tell them, hey, this is how to tell when to sell. Yeah, but, like, I think that the fresh standpoint is maybe not what you've seen before. So the way that maybe it came to you is not the way it's going to come to them, because we start off with, like, the how to tell when to sell argument. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about TU at all. Like, that was the angle you guys came in from. I'm not necessarily interested in getting more Tomb Fork investors. Like, they'll show up or they won't. Yeah. Yeah, that right there, Maddie, that is something. Yeah, the red candles can't kill it. Why red candles can't kill it? That would be a good thing to have. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, for sure. But, like, again, yeah. But some of you didn't come in from Tomb Forks. Like, I mean, I guess none of those guys are here today, but it is what it is. I think, like, the TWAP thresholds seems to be something that's conceptually related. So, like, this matrix here and then having those utility thresholds, I think, is, like, a concept that's tied into that helps. Okay, mint rate dominating with supply going up and demand going up, and this could go one way or another. Mint rate dominating while sell rate's going down, so you have supply going up while demand is going down. And I guess the blue marker here is just not going to make it. Burn rate's dominating, which is supplies down. Sell rate dominating, okay, which is, okay, mint rate is supply up and demand down. And then burn rate dominating with sell rate dominating is like, I guess, supply down and demand down. Is that correct? Sell rate dominating, demand down. Sell rate dominating, demand down. Buy rate dominating, demand up. Burn rate, S down, S down, S up, S up. Okay, yeah, there you go. So legitimately, yeah. Having this matrix, this 2x2 of like the probability scenarios. I guess I gotta come up with something like this. Do you guys understand this? Like anybody watching live right now? I'm assuming anybody watching live right now has watched this show 10 times at least. Okay. Does anybody not understand? Roughly? Okay. Legitimately, I'm gonna support this. Yeah, I'm gonna support this with obviously like more text and or video content. But legitimately, like this is a if we want to turn fundamental analysis, like you know the fundamental analysis of these things. Legitimately, you can actually, okay, so you can do one of these for Pyre Phantom, but you can do one for 2 ohm as well. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Right? So like, I think this is a good matrix to have, not just for Pyre Phantom, but if you introduce it for Pyre Phantom and then they want to go more, you know, deeper and they're like, okay, what's 2 ohm, 3 ohm, and Z ohm? You just slap them right back to this. Does that make sense? So then, by the way, you know, the Mead level, you know, everybody has figured out the Mead level is a critical component in entering a certain quadrant here, right? Right? The buy rate down and the burn rate down, right? Everybody knows that when you go above the Mead level, you're in this quadrant. And this quadrant like automatically shows what happens. Does that make sense to you guys? This has a, and by the way, this is what I mean when I talk about an inner game. So when we talk about like how Bitcoin has a coin game and it has a chain game, this is what I mean where like if you meet a traj on fucking 2 ohm, you know, supply is going down for 2 ohm, but supply is going up over here, right? Do you guys, okay, let me write this out so you guys can maybe see. Do you guys understand that like if you're meter-charging 2 ohm mead, 2 ohm mead right here, this is where 2 ohm is for a mead, but this would be for where Pyre Phantom is for a mead. Do you guys understand that? You see how this matrix is automatically just rolling into more advanced concepts? Okay, I'm really glad that we built this thing impromptu because I've realized that this might just be the easiest way to understand. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. It is a slightly more advanced concept, but I realized probably in some sort of diagram, putting 2 of them next to each other. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Okay. Anyways, we're about 10 minutes left. I think I'm just going to end the show now because I'm going to finish sending out the Twitter ambassador system. Yeah, that's definitely true. Diagrams are definitely, these books love diagrams. I just have to make them, I guess, easier. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, by the way, we might, okay, I don't necessarily have time for this right now, but I might redo all the diagrams. Our titles will still be Allegard, but I'll switch to that other font, which is more legible. So I might make the diagrams, like, I might remake the diagrams with like a slightly more legible pixelated font. And you guys will be voting on that font, so whatever. That'll be next week. Anyways, okay. I'm gonna get this ambassador system going. Are you guys ready for that? I literally just gotta send three documents into a group chat, and they're already done, and then we're off. And then literally, I am now trusting 5 guys through the power. Do you guys ever see Captain Planet before? We now have the Planeteers, and these 5 guys are gonna be like summoning Twitter ambassadors with their rings. That's how that works. Yep. Everybody, I knew Jeff and Dr. Mac would both GIF, Captain Planet. Yep. Let our powers combine. I am Captain Planet. Do you guys know that that was just like Ted Turner? That was a Ted Turner propaganda project. Do you guys know that? Good for him. Like, talk about iconic propaganda. Technically, the profile picture that I use is also propaganda from a long time ago. Anyways, does anybody have any questions? Yeah, we're gonna get this ball rolling, and I'm gonna stop bottlenecking the project. Are you guys ready for Fi to stop fucking sabotaging the project? I know I am. Yeah. So yeah, Twitter Ambassador Program is now happening without me. Like, legitimately, we have a weekly meeting about it. That's it. Yep. 2, I'm gonna stop fucking bukakiing the internet with Technobabble. Are you guys okay with that? Yeah. I'm gonna start, you know, doling it out in more digestible amounts. Okay? So no more Technobabble bukkake on YouTube and or Twitter Spaces. Right? Well, Jeff, you know, it's let's say there's a time and a place. Okay, there's a time and a place for everything. And yeah, I want you guys to have I'm having a great day today. I hope you guys are too. Thank you, Seabiscuit. Again, I had to okay, I'll leave, by the way, since we didn't do much Wisdom Wednesday yesterday, I want you guys to know something. A great indicator, and this is what I've been mentored with, is that you should be able to look at your past self and cringe. Did you guys know this? A sign, like a true sign of growth, is when you can look at your past self and cringe. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Okay, so I think, and by the way, you know, why so it's a great sign? Because if I were, do you guys know what month I wrote the beta testing guide? I think it was December of 2023. And, you know, Jeff was one of the main people clowning me for saying, like, you know, calling people subhuman tapeworms. And at my level of stress at the time, which probably a similar level of stress to now, but I guess maybe I'm better at just sucking it up, maybe. Maybe I'm just better at wearing it or carrying it. Legitimately, I want you guys to know something. Calling people subhuman tapeworms in a set of instructions is not really something either one of these books would check off of. You know, do you guys get what I'm saying? I would say that, yeah. And by the way, Jeff, it's a good meme because I think it's part of the story that when I was first building this, I was so goddamn arrogant. And now I'm like, why was I doing that? And it's like, it was just, I did not care. I didn't give a shit about how other people felt. It was all just coming out of the way I felt. Do you get what I'm saying? And that was the first fucking mistake as far as marketing goes. And I didn't even think about a set of instructions being marketing material. Do you guys know what I mean? Like, we didn't have, like, the amazing diagrams didn't come until, like, March or April, right? Like, the majority of them, I was making diagrams for, like, a month. You know what I mean? By the way, that was hurting my brain. But yeah, anyways, like, looking back at me now, and even stuff like the NFB policy. By the way, we can still keep the NFB policy in the documents, in the documentation. Do you guys want to know why? Because anybody who reads the documentation is also not going to be, you guys get what I'm saying? Anyways, we'll keep the emoji at least, and maybe I'll rewrite the documentation too. Maybe I'll add a few more basic steps, but not, the good news is we don't need to put kitty gloves on the documentation because apparently only 5% of people read it in the first place. But what we do need to have is like learnPyReswap.com, which will have like 7 videos, and then under each video, it'll have like bullet points of the main lessons it describes. Make sense? Anyways, thank you so much for coming to the PYRESWAP show. And I've definitely evolved, I think, into the person that I now need to be to scale this to $1 quadrillion. Thank you so much for coming to the PYRESWAP show, and we'll see you on Monday. Goodbye.